My guest this morning is no stranger to the Reading Circle, as she was on with me a few years ago, and now she has some more initiatives going, and we're going to talk about those. Matter of fact, we're going to rewind and talk about some of the existing initiatives as well as her new initiatives. She is an entrepreneur. Alison Vaughn is an award-winning entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Jackets for Jobs, Incorporated. Jackets for Jobs is an award-winning nonprofit organization that provides employment etiquette, career skills training, and professional clothing to low-income individuals. 2018 and 2019, the organization received the high honor of being one of the best and brightest companies to work for in the metro Detroit area. Since opening its doors in 2000, Jackets for Jobs has assisted more than 28,000 individuals in their pursuit of employment. This high-profile organization has been recognized by ABC's The View, NBC's Today Show, and Oprah's O Magazine. In 2007, Jacket for Jobs caught the attention of retail giant TJ Maxx, with whom the organization has since partnered. In 2013, Jackets for Jobs opened an office in the Botswana, Africa. All right. Now, Vaughn represented the organization on the floor of NASDAQ, where she rang the closing bell in 2006 and 2014. She's a public speaker. The Comcast newsmaker is a sought-after public speaker nationally and internationally. In March of 2018, Vaughn was part of the Michigan Association of Female Entrepreneurs delegation to travel to Dubai for the Global Business Women's Summit. And in the fall of 2014, she was chosen to speak at the World Islamic Economic Forum in Dubai. On the rise of women entrepreneurs, March 2019, Vaughn was a featured speaker at the 10th Annual Women's Leadership and Empowerment Conference in Bangkok, Thailand. She inspires audience with her insights and advocacy, entrepreneurism, empowerment, and working development. She's also a community advocate. Vaughn was the 2011 co-chair of the 56th Annual Detroit NAACP Fight for Freedom Dinner, the largest sit-down dinner in the country, annually drawing 10,000 plus attendees. The dinner is known for its distinguished keynote speakers, including U.S. Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, the Honorable Hillary Clinton, the Honorable Colin Powell, and actor Danny Glover. Allison is also an author. She's the author of the award-winning book, Ms. Gold. That's G-O-A-L, not G-O-L-D. Ms. Gold Digger. Success is sexy. I know that's right. This book is a tell-all guide for today's businesswoman who wants to get what she wants for herself by herself. While the world may define success in dollars and cents, this book teaches women how to work smarter, not harder. She was selected by Essence magazine to do a book signing at the 2017 Essence Festival in New Orleans. She's also the co-author of the book Inspired Style. The book features Vaughn and other top image experts sharing tips to help women look and be their best. Ms. Vaughn earned a Bachelor's of Science degree from Michigan State University and graduated from the Women's Campaign School at Yale University, sponsored by Yale Law School. She is a member of Junior League of Detroit, National Association of Female Entrepreneurs, Distinguished Women in International Service, Gamma Phi Delta Sorority, and Top Ladies of Distinction. Vaughn is a Goldman Sachs scholar, a graduate of the investment firm's 10,000 Small Businesses program that provides entrepreneurs with a practical business education, access to capital, and business support services. She is one of Martha Stewart's, quote, dreamers into doers, unquote, a group of entrepreneurs who have turned their dreams into reality. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome back to the Reading Circle microphones, Alison Vaughn. Alison, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me again. It was such a pleasure to talk with you a while back, and now it's great to be with you this morning.
Well, I tell you what, I'm glad to have you on the show again as well to talk about your newest initiatives as well as to revisit some of the ones that were existing. And I tell you, and I was saying this before you came on the air, the Detroit area, you all have really been in the house this year on the the reading circle. Last week I had Dr. Geneva. The week prior to her, I had Naomi. I have to look at Naomi's name again, but she was from the Detroit area. And I've had a couple other folks earlier in the year from that Michigan and Detroit area as well. So you all have been in the reading circle house in 2021. That's for sure. I said, I think I'm going to have to make...
Oh, that's great.
I think I'm going to have to make a trip.
Dr. Geneva is a good friend of mine.
Is she really?
I know that, yes.
Well,
we've been friends for a long time, so I know if she was a guest, I know that had to have been a really great conversation.
Oh, we had a blast. As a matter of fact, many folks either comment on my YouTube channel or either tweeted me or texted me or whatever. And the one thing they remembered out of her very strong and powerfully was that look good, feel good, do good. And so I said, I have a feeling that you are going to continue to carry that message this morning. Look good, feel good, do good.
Well, I guess so. She's passed the baton to me, I guess so, and so to speak. So, yes, I'll try to do my best.
Well, okay, so... I mean, that bio, and this, you were part of my Women's History Month then. As a matter of fact, this is our last Saturday in March, and I did a theme for February for Black History Month, and then I also scheduled my guests thematically for March for Women's History Month. Now, personally to me, every day is Black History Month. Every day is Women's History Month. There is no, I mean, that's nice that we pause and we give acknowledgement and recognition in a month. That's nice, but the truth of the matter is, all 12 months are Women History Months. All 12 months are Black History Month. But we do pause for it, and I did schedule you all. And listening and reading that bio, and I did that intentionally because I want the listening audience to be inspired and encouraged and motivated to say, wow, if Allison can do all that, if it can happen for her, I need to start doing some things, and it can happen for me. And so that's why I share the entire bio, because a lot of times people say, oh, don't read the whole thing, don't read the whole thing. No. I want the listening audience to hear the whole thing.
Well, that is great. And, and I'm glad that you have me on for Women's History Month, because the month of March is actually my favorite month, because March is the month that I started my business, Jackets for Jobs. So whenever, March comes around, I'm very excited because it's so symbolic of, starting my business. But 21 years ago, I did not know that the month of March was considered Women's History Month. I was just given the vision to start a business, and I just ran with it, from the calling of God, and it just happened to be in the month of March. So this is great.
So I tell you what, since you went there, that's a wonderful segue, and we'll start with that. Let's talk a little bit about Jackets for Jobs. What's that all about, and how, by the end of the show, I'll give you an opportunity to promote and how folks can contribute and do what have you. But let's talk like that vision that you got, and it started 21 years ago. Let's talk about where did it all come from? How did you start Jackets for Jobs?
Well, I started Jackets for Jobs 21 years ago from a vision from God, and it was actually, I started it out of a tragic situation, and kind of that saying, turn lemons into lemonade. Right after I graduated from Michigan State, go Spartans, I moved out to Los Angeles.
That's that green and white, right? Isn't that green and white?
Yeah, that's right. Green and white.
All right now. Go ahead, green and white.
Green and white, and I was hoping that they were going to, go pretty far with the basketball of March Madness, but they didn't. But nevertheless, I'm rooting for Michigan. But getting back to graduating from Michigan State, I moved out to Los Angeles, got a job with United Airlines, and started hiring flight attendants, which was like a dream job, being able to travel all over the world, and, in London one week and Hawaii the next, and, just hiring flight attendants. Well, one day I received a phone call from an aunt, and she said, you know what, your sister really wants to see you. She has not seen you in so many years. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's true. That's so interesting. I wonder why she wants to get in touch with me now, because, mind you, we had the same father but different mothers. So after our father died and after the funeral, we just kind of went our separate ways.
Okay.
So when my aunt called and said that, my sister wanted to see me, I was like, well, that's kind of interesting, because we really didn't have much in common other than our dad, and, he died.
Right.
So I met over to my aunt's house, and she, arrived, and we're sitting on the porch, and I'm all excited because I hadn't seen her in like 20 years, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to be a nice reunion, and so forth. And the first thing I asked my sister, I said, well, what have you been doing all these years that we haven't seen each other? And she said, I'm dying of cancer. And I'm like, oh, my God, that's probably why she wanted to see me, you know. And so I started crying, and then we embraced and hugged. And then, lo and behold, 6 months to that day, she died.
Wow.
Yeah, she died of cancer.
Wow.
So when I was helping with the funeral arrangements, I found out that she was on welfare. And I was like, oh, my God, that is just awful. So then I said, you know, I want to be able to do something and give back. So I said, well, maybe I'll just do something with people that have died of, you know, do something with cancer, or, you know, give back with children that have lost a loved one, you know, because she had 3 kids. And then God said, no, I want you to help women that are on welfare. I don't want to see other women in the same situation as your sister. So do something to help women on welfare. So that's why I started Jackets for Jobs, to empower women, to help them get off welfare, for them to be self-sufficient. And that was the whole mission of the organization, to help empower women. And then 7 years into the organization, people said, well, men need help. Why don't you start helping men? And so then I opened up a division to help men as well. And most of the men, they weren't necessarily on welfare, but those men were coming out of prison, and I was working with the prison reentry program to help those men become self-sufficient and help them out. And so, so that was 21 years ago, to be able to help as a tribute to my sister, to help women. And here it is, 21 years later. And just last month, Jackets for Jobs was honored as one of the best and brightest companies to work for in the nation. I'm so proud of that, because my staff works so hard every single day to make a difference. And so to receive that acknowledgement, that honor, really says a lot for what we've done and empowered and helped, people get back on their feet.
Well, congratulations on that, and God bless. Talk a little bit about the premise of how does it work? What needs to be done in terms of, like you're saying, you're helping women on welfare, you're helping the men or what have you. How does that happen with Jackets for Jobs?
Oh, yeah, good question. So we're part of the City of Detroit's Workforce Development Department. So 2 years into the organization, so now what, 19 years, we've been a workforce development agency. So my mother, she retired from General Motors, and I said, well, come and help me out with my business. And so one day we went down to the mayor's office, and we were like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to help the City of Detroit. I want to be able to help all these women get off welfare. I want to be able to help men and so forth. And so they embraced what I did. They thought my mission was empowering, because it was one of the barriers. See, there's so many barriers to employment. People either have transportation barriers, where they don't have transportation to get to a job interview. They have child care issues. They don't have money to pay for a sitter, or they just can't find, anybody to take care of their kids, so they don't work. They have clothing issues where they don't have anything to wear. There's so many different barriers. So when people come to Jackets for Jobs, we provide free clothing for them so they can look good, feel good about themselves, put their best foot forward, not only to get a job, but to keep a job. And so that's why when we partner with TJ Maxx, they provide clothing for us, and then the community donates clothes, and then we give those clothes to job applicants so they can get a job. So we're part of workforce development. So we partner with different agencies around the city, and they refer their clients to us, and then they come and then they get training. We do self-esteem building, workshops, resume writing, as well as providing clothing for them so they can go out and get a job and keep a job.
That's what I was looking for. So that's where the title came from, Jackets for Jobs, and that is so important. So now you're talking to somebody that's being challenged or struggling or whatever, and now they want to get a job, but they may not have the clothing to look presentable. And
exactly,
so your organization provides them with the clothing so that when they go to the interview, they make that first impression.
Exactly, because you and I both know first impressions are lasting, and you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So you got to knock it out the ballpark right then and there. And so we want that job applicant to look their best. So if it's a man, we give him a suit. If it's a woman, we give her a complete outfit. And we have some really nice things because, like I said, we have that partnership with TJ Maxx. And then we have the community that has totally embraced our organization. So we have so many companies that do clothing drives for us. And these are people that are already working, so they know what it takes and what the work culture is like. So we get some very nice things. So when people come to our facility, because we have 2 locations in Detroit, which is a real nice blessing, they feel like they're walking into a nice department store, because the one store actually looks like a miniature TJ Maxx because they did the build-out for us.
Wow.
And so they come and they feel really good. You know, sometimes they walk in with their head down, but when they walk out, it's like Christmas time. They're walking out with lots of bags, you know, because we make sure that they have a lot of, like a week's worth of clothing, so they can, once they get that job, they have more clothes to wear throughout the week, and then they can mix and match and really stretch that wardrobe.
So in terms of now when they go to the interview, because you've now provided the clothing, do you also help them in terms of how to wear it to make sure that it's pressed and not wrinkled? And it's so, do you get into that, or do you leave that up to them?
Oh, no, we go through all of that as well, because like some of the women that come to us, they've never worn a suit before.
Right.
So they're like, well, I don't even know how to put a blouse together. Many of the men that come to us don't know how to tie a tie.
Correct.
And so because a lot of the men, they're raised by single moms, and these mothers, they don't wear a tie, and they're not in a position to teach their son how to tie a tie. So he grows up not knowing without, a male figure to show him. And so we show him how to tie a tie. We talk about pull your pants up, put a belt on, So we do go through those things that, like don't wear a scarf and house slippers. Believe it or not, some people I have seen wearing house slippers to a job fair.
I believe that's why I asked the question. That is exactly why I asked the question, because I totally believe it, because I've seen it myself. That's exactly why I told you our interview is very conversational based on your response generates my next question. That's exactly why I asked that question, because even though we could provide the clothes, still somebody could mess it up by going in there wearing them inappropriately. Because it doesn't take much not to get hired.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness, Mark. We have done so many job fairs, and we have a booth at a job fair, and some of the recruiters will come up to our booth and say, thank you for being here. Thank you for, teaching, the men how to tie a tie and pull up their pants, or thank you for showing a lady, not to wear the mini skirt. And so I do a series for ladies, talking about there's a difference between date wear and day wear. What you wear on a date is not what you wear in the daytime for a job interview.
That's a good point.
Because some of the women are like, oh, I went to the club last night and I got so many compliments on this outfit, I think I'll wear this to the job interview. Just because you got a compliment in the nightclub, saying that you look cute in that outfit, that is not appropriate when you're going for a job interview. You need to wear something totally different. Date wear and day wear are totally different attires. And, it's something how you have to educate and tell people, but that's reality.
No, it really is. And like you just said, it is amazing that you have to, but we do. Because as I said, I've seen it on both. I've been the interviewer and had people sitting in front of me dressed in date wear. And I like the way you put that, date wear versus day wear. And this is what folks don't get. Whenever the interviewer will be just as kind and cordial, but he or she has already made up their mind before you get out that chair whether they're going to even consider you.
Exactly. Yes. And so with my human resource background coming from a major corporation, you only have a split second to make that first impression, because when you get up from the table, there's 50, 100 more people that are coming behind you. So you have to really shine. And so shining with a mini skirt and your cleavage out is not the right way to shine for a job interview.
That's absolutely correct. And I deal with kids every day because I'm in the educational field, and I'm constantly helping them understand, like particularly with the boys, why you don't need to wear your caps. Don't get in the habit of wearing your cap inside of the building. Now I always tell my boys, there's not a one of them have a bigger cap collection than I do. I said, but there's a time and place to wear your hats and your cap. I said, now, let me, like you said, the do-rags and the bandanas and the pants down and the this, that, and the other. Constantly sharing with them, now, look, I don't want you to get in that habit, because you're going to go on the job interview one day and you're going to have that attire on when you walk in the building. And as soon as you step in the door, your resume is going in the garbage. Oh, no, Mr. Medley, I ain't going to wear that. Yes, you are, because it's going to be a habit. You're not going to think to take it off. That's why you get the bedroom slippers and the pajamas, because it's a habit.
That's right. I mean, I just have to laugh because I'll just never forget an interview when I saw a young lady with some house slippers on. And I was saying to myself, oh, my God, what is she thinking?
No, she wasn't thinking. That's why I just tell you, it's
Exactly.
a habit.
That's the thing. She was not thinking. Right.
And that's why whenever I'm working with folks, it's like, I'm trying to break you out of it. Because like you just said, I love the way you put that, the difference between day wear and date wear. And that's the thing, I don't have a problem with you wearing the date wear, but it's a time and place for everything. And that's the message we try to get across. You're going to wear, and I tell the boys, if you wear your pants sagging like that now, you're going to wear those pants sagging when you walk in that interview. There's just oh, no, I'm not Mr. Medley. Yes, you are. Because you're not going to give it a thought, like you just said, not thinking. So that is wonderful that you have an organization. And not only it's been around 21 years. And not only been around, but you've gotten recognized, and those people like internationally know about this organization.
Yes. God is really good. God has opened up some amazing doors. And whenever I talk with people regarding Jackets for Jobs, I always have to give God credit, no matter what platform I'm on. I always say God is the one that opens the doors for all of the exposure and all of the press, because the nice thing about Jackets for Jobs, everyone understands the concept of a job. So whether you're white, black, rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, everyone understands the need for a job. So I think the mission of what we do says so much, and I think that's why we've lasted 21 years, because as you know, during this pandemic, there's so many businesses that have closed, and whether they're for-profit or non-profit. And so I think because of what we do with jobs, we've been able to last. And so I thank God for that. And, with this pandemic, we've had to pivot a little bit. Just like most companies, you have to be creative and think of different ways of how to maintain your business. Because now with everyone staying home, people are interviewing via Zoom. And so
Correct.
We're still telling them, even though you're at home and you're interviewing on Zoom, you still need to look presentable,
Correct.
from the waist up. And so I'm just pleased that the government has been able to help so many businesses, because as an entrepreneur, I know so many other entrepreneurs, especially being a Goldman Sachs scholar, which is basically a program for entrepreneurs and helping them succeed. Just talking to some of my fellow business friends, it is a struggle out here with this pandemic.
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, a couple of things based on what you just said. One, the reason you're right, the business is God blessed, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I know in my church with my pastor and all of us, we are steeply indoctrinated and constantly truly believe that we are put here to make life better for others. That's what your Jacket for Jobs is doing. It's making life better for others. You're not just worrying about you looking good. You're not worrying about your attire. You're worrying about somebody who may not be able to do what you do, but you want them to be able to get this. So in other words, you're making life better for somebody else. That's why it has lasted, and it will continue to last. So that's A. Secondly, in terms of one of my favorite verses out of the Bible is Proverbs 11:25. There is no way in the world that the person who's doing the watering cannot get the water back a little bit on themselves too. So, and then the last thing is about the pandemic. One of my questions I was going to ask is, did you see a need even more for an organization like yours based on the fact that we were going through this pandemic?
Yes, but I'll just be very honest. In the beginning of the pandemic, I was just so nervous, really scared, didn't know, because it's like everything came to a standstill. And I'm like, I know that there's a need out there. I know my business is, the community still needs my business. But when we stood still, I was just like so nervous because I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't giving back enough.
Right.
I was just so used to doing. And to come to a standstill, I was just so frightened because I had never been in that position to just feel like I need to do something, but I can't do something. And so now that we're getting back, slowly I'm feeling like, okay, I'm worthy again. I'm worthy to be able to help somebody. I'm not at a standstill anymore. And then I had to remember it wasn't just me, it was the world that was at a standstill.
Correct.
And so it just really made me just self-reflect because I was feeling like I wasn't doing enough. And, so we're getting back. We have a very strong governor here. And Michigan, as you probably
I love your Governor Whitmer. Governor Whitmer, no, seriously. Oddly that you bring her up. I just followed her on Twitter yesterday. I thought I was already following her, but she popped up in my timeline, person to follow. I thought I was already following, but I love her. You just would not believe how annoyed I was whenever the whole thing came out about that plot to kidnap her.
Yes. Oh my God. They call her Big Rich because she's a fighter. And so her nickname is Big Rich.
That's what I love about her, because she ain't back down.
She is a fighter, and she will not back down. And she says, I'm the governor. I care about the lives. I don't want to see people die. And I'm going to put these restrictions in place, whether you like it or not, because I'm going by data. And the data says that we need to stay home and things need to be closed down. And people were just not having it, and they just wanted to kill her just because she was going by science and the data that she was given that we need to close these buildings. And I can't believe people want to kill her because they don't want to wear a mask or they feel like their restaurant should be open. I'm like, give me a break,
I said this morning in the 6 o'clock hour, and at this point, we're a little bit further along than we were, but I don't care what opens up. I'm not going to the restaurants yet. I'm not traveling yet. I'm not doing any of that yet because we're not out of the woods. And you're right, in terms of her trying to keep people safe, and you had folks out there wanting to now kill her for that. And I was so glad she didn't back down. I didn't know what to do. But yeah, I love your governor. She's one of the governors that I follow and I know of and really came to attention whenever that whole plot came out. But you're right. The world came to a standstill. So I see here in your bio that you had an office in Botswana. Is that still up and running as well?
We just closed that, and that was so nice because how that happened, a friend of mine was an ambassador to Botswana and was doing a mission trade trip to Botswana. And so he wanted to have some business leaders come to Botswana, learn more about the country, and do some e-commerce and trade and just stimulate the economy in both directions. And so I said, okay, that would be really nice. So I went on the trip, and we went to South Africa, got a chance to tour, and then flew over to Botswana and got a chance to see that, because Botswana is like the diamond capital of the world.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, oh, this is nice. A girl's best, diamonds are a girl's best friend. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. So, I'm in the right spot. And so, excuse me, so it was really nice. And so learning about what I did, with regards to jobs, they had me speak at the University of Botswana about jobs and resumes and so forth. And so I found out they have the same issues, the same problems over in Africa as we have in the United States.
Absolutely.
Like I mentioned, everyone can understand the need for a job. And so, talking further into it, I said, I'm going to open an office here. And so I did just that. So that trade trip was a really powerful trip. And so I opened it and had the students run the office. But since then, just traveling back and forth and the sustainability of keeping it open, it just didn't last as long as I wanted it to. But I still have wonderful relationships. I'm never going to lose my relationship with a place where diamonds are, right?
I know, that's right. But anyway, I think that's great because one of the things about Clubhouse, and I told you Pam and I were on Clubhouse the other day, but one of the things about Clubhouse is it really has put me in touch from people around the world, it's particularly Africa. And I've been in a lot of the Clubhouse Africa houses, and you're right. The issues that we have here are very similar, if not the same, that they have there. And I've really connected with a lot of folks from all parts of Africa. And I was on a room. I was in a room the other night, and I was sharing with them. I said, you would not believe how many people in the United States don't realize that Africa is a continent and not a country. I said, it's amazing how many folks don't realize that Africa is a continent. And you just hit on something when you said the diamond capital of the world in Botswana.
Yes.
Absolutely. So that's why the fact that you even had the office there, whether it just closed down or not, is still, that's a wonderful thing, because not only are you blessing folks here in the United States, you were blessing folks in the motherland as well. So Jackets for Jobs, and it's still going. You've been recognized by The View, Today Show, Oprah's magazine, and it's still up and running. And I see you've traveled all over in your bio as well in terms of speaking, like in Dubai, and of course we just talked about Botswana. And you said something about training flight. Were you a flight attendant as well, or did you just hire?
Yes.
Them? Oh, you were a flight attendant.
I was a flight attendant, and then I hired flight attendants. And
okay.
So it was a wonderful job.
That's
why I was saying I was enjoying just traveling all over the world, and then to start a nonprofit, because I ended up leaving, United to start Jackets for Jobs. And so here I am leaving a secure company, not knowing where my next paycheck was going to come from. Because I took a leap of faith. I listened to God. And so when God said, I want you to start a nonprofit, I want you to start an organization to help women, and I said, oh, my God. So here I am going to the library, because, 21 years ago, Google had just started. So that wasn't a big thing.
That's right.
And so I had to literally go to the library, look up books. So I got all of those dummy series, like grant writing for dummies, fundraising for dummies, how to start a nonprofit, all those dummy series, how to start a business. And so I took all those books out and to learn about being an entrepreneur. And then once I felt comfortable enough, then I went back to United and said, okay, I'm going to resign. And then I started Jackets for Jobs, not knowing where my next paycheck was going to come from. So if there's anybody that all of you, because you have so many listeners, Mark, if you're people out there listening and say, I'm working in corporate America, but I have this dream to be my own boss. I have a dream to start XYZ business, but I just don't know how. Do what I do, but you really have to listen. You take that leap of faith. If God gave you that vision and it's God inspired, I say God will not lead you where he cannot keep you.
Correct.
So if you know for sure that it is that voice, and that's what I did. And here it is, I never looked back. Once I took that leap of faith and God continued to open those doors, I never looked back and say, oh, my God, I should have stayed with, United, because God has really sustained me. Now I can still travel. God has blessed me with the ability to continue to travel. So I know what it's like to transition from one company and starting a business, which is very scary and very hard, but it can be done and it can be very rewarding.
And I think for women and men, but since this is a Women's History Month episode, for the women out there, if you're listening to what Allison is saying, she's saying she didn't tell you it was going to be easy, but what she said was it can be done if that's what God is leading you to do. And the reason my ears perked up when you said flight attendant, because when I tell you I am an aviation geek, I am an aviation.
Are you really?
Yes, I am. In other words, I just haven't gotten my pilot's license yet. I've flown a Cessna. I was in the Air National Guard in the Air Force for 9 years, where I was a jet engine mechanic. When I tell you I love aviation, I love aviation. Whenever I was a kid, first coming out of college, there was an airline called People Express. Mm-hmm. I actually applied to be a flight attendant there, because they were hiring folks. People Express was kind of like they were hiring they were beyond just being an airline. It's just like if you were applying for an office job to be a flight attendant. But in any event, I didn't get hired there. But on my social media sites like Instagram, so I follow so many flight attendants. It's not funny. Flight attendants and pilots. That's who I follow on a lot of my social media. But I don't know if there's such a thing as a look for a flight attendant, but the reason I asked, were you one or did you just hire, was because you look like a flight attendant. If there's such,
oh my God, yes. And I was with United 16 years.
Okay.
So the jobs overlapped, because when I stopped with United, the death of my sister was right around the same time as the September 11th terror attack. And so that's when United asked the flight attendants and the pilots, did they want to take a leave of absence, because the country was afraid to fly.
Correct.
And so no one was flying, kind of like the pandemic right now, like nobody's flying. So after September 11th, no one was flying. And so that gave me an opportunity to take a leave of absence during my sister's death time, all of that. So that 2 years was all that, the death of my sister, September 11th, all of that was happening. And so that's what caused me to the timing. So, in life, everything is all about timing.
Right.
So those two tragic situations, that timing helped me to start Jackets for Jobs. But, yes, there is a look. And so when I would hire, there is sort of that look because, the flight attendants, even though they wear a uniform, there's just sort of a certain look.
Correct.
Now, when I was a flight attendant way back in the day, there was a height and weight restriction.
Correct.
You had to be really small to be a flight attendant. But now they don't have that anymore. I mean,
correct.
I've seen flight attendants, bumping you down when they're walking down the aisle because, of their size. But, that restriction has been lifted.
No, absolutely right. Matter of fact, over the years, and we're going way back into the 60s, they were called stewardesses. And that name changed over just like, and I'm not going to go down because I tell you I'm an AV geek, so don't get me talking about airplanes, but just like even the cockpit was changed to the flight deck. And, sort of the terminology within aviation started changing over to be more respectful, if you will. But Allison's absolutely right. There were weight and size and height requirements at one point that they've done away with. I see here on your bio as well, because I'm working my way through your bio. We've talked about we've talked about the public speaker. We've talked about being the entrepreneur and Jackets for Jobs. And now you are a community advocate and author as well. So in terms of advocating in the community, I could easily see where Jackets for Jobs would fit for that in terms of, but it looks like I'm reading here back a few years back, you were chairing the NAACP Freedom Dinner. So obviously you're active in the NAACP as a community activist, and then you're an author. Now, the last time you were on here, we were talking about your book, The Gold Digger. Let's talk real quickly about that, because I that's a wonderful play on words.
It is. I'll talk about that, and then, or I can go back to you're talking about being a community advocate.
You can work it all in together.
Well, let me talk about that, because right now with us being in this pandemic, and it's all about people getting vaccinated right now, and, this COVID-19, and we were earlier talking about Gretchen, the governor, Gretchen Whitmer. So I've been asked, and it was so nice to receive a phone call last week from the governor's office, and they wanted me to be on their task force regarding getting people vaccinated. So kind of like a vaccine ambassador. And it's so important because, Detroit is predominantly black, African American, and a lot of blacks are not wanting to get the vaccine because of some sort of fear, and a lot of people say about the Tuskegee,
Yes. That's
thing,
correct.
I don't want to get a vaccine, and they're not going to use us as guinea pigs, blah, blah, blah. And so my job right now is to be an ambassador for vaccines. Like, please tell everyone to get vaccinated. Please go get your vaccine, get your shot. And so I'm an ambassador in that way because I work in the predominantly African American community, and I see them every day. That's the population of people that we're targeting. Please go get your shot. And so I'm encouraging everyone that's listening on this line this morning, please go get your shot. Please get vaccinated, not only for yourself, but for your family.
Well,
it would make a difference. And so we just got to stress that.
And I was on a call the other day, and a gentleman brought up a very good point. I'm not going to tell people one way or the other, but I will share the point with you in terms of if the argument is that they're just trying to do away with African Americans, the truth of the matter is everybody's taking the shot. So if there was a time to take it, it would be now, because if the African Americans decide not to take it and they have to design one just for us, that would give them the opportunity to take African Americans out. So right now, everybody's taking it. So if that's the case, everybody's a guinea pig, black, white, Spanish, doesn't matter, Asian, whomever. So if you are going to take it, this is the time to take it when everybody's taking it, as opposed to waiting until they say, well, a large block of the African Americans didn't take it, we're going to have to make a special shot for them. Because that's when some...
that is such a very good point and such a valid point, because I've taken mine. And when I was there getting my shot, there were all different nationalities that were getting it. And so that's a very good point. So if something was going to happen to me, the white person and the Asian person and the Latino person, they would all be, all be affected. But so you're absolutely right. Now would be the time, because they have a thing of, everybody's in there. So that's a very good point.
So it is. So for those making the Tuskegee experiment argument, and that's a valid argument, it is. But just understand, at this point, it's not just African Americans getting the shot. It's everybody.
Everyone is getting it, yes. And so Michigan, our numbers are going in the opposite direction as of last week. Yeah.
New Jersey is too.
And, the governor, she did a wonderful job, and our numbers were going down. Everybody was like, yay, our numbers are going down. And then she opened up, instead of 25% capacity for restaurants, she opened it to 50% capacity. And so people started getting out more, now that they have the stimulus check, they're out shopping and just getting out more. Well, now Michigan's numbers are going in the wrong direction. And so she hasn't put the restrictions back on, but now we really need to get, that vaccine, because our numbers are here in Michigan are back down with more deaths and higher cases. So it's not good here.
It's the same here in New Jersey. And it's because you have more and more people getting the inoculation, but yet, like you just said, the numbers are climbing the other way. It's the same thing. We're experiencing the same thing here in New Jersey. So congratulations on being called by the governor's office. That's all right.
Yes.
Congratulations on that, and keep doing what you do. And so that's the community advocacy. And then you have your books and the latest venture that we're going to work our way into as we get near the end of the interview, which is the TV show. So let's talk a little bit about, because like I said, I love the play on words where you said.
Yes, and when you did my introduction, I do the same thing. I said, Miss Gold Digger, and I spell it out. And I was so happy that you did that. So pat yourself on the back for that, because I was like, oh, thank you for doing that. Yes. So my book, Miss Gold Digger, Goal.
That's right.
Digger, and it's a play on words because the population, well, I should say the clients that I deal with, many of them that come in did not have any kind of goals, no direction, no mentors, and they were just kind of like generational welfare. Their grandmother was on welfare, their mother was on welfare, they were on welfare. Or they just didn't have any goals, they just lacked self-esteem. And so I said, I just need to put all of this knowledge that I'm giving to them in a book. And then I thought, well, you know what? It's all about goals. If you had goals and directions, you would probably be in a different place and space in life. And they just need to know about goals. I want them to learn to be a gold digger instead of a gold digger, because you want to be able to be self-sufficient, make money for yourself instead of relying on somebody else for the money.
Correct.
And so that's why the play on words, be a gold digger instead of a gold digger. And I'm all about helping these women to get the money for themselves and not rely on somebody else for the money.
Absolutely. And the ironic thing, and what for me was humorous, because I have this sick sense of humor. Because you are so attractive, the first thing that's just a gold digger. So the fact that you have now gold digger, and that's the other thing. That's why it's such a fun play on words too, because in sometimes Ebonics dialect, the word gold does come up as goal.
Oh, yes, exactly. And so whenever I talk about my book, I always spell it out. So you can imagine, right after I wrote the book, 2 months after I wrote the book, Essence Festival called for me to do a book signing, at the Essence Festival. So you can imagine I was on cloud nine, like, oh, my God, that means that book is good. That means that people are, receiving the title of this book. And I spoke on I did the book signing on a huge platform. I mean, because everyone knows Essence Festival is the largest festival for African American. It's it's an empowerment conference. I mean, you have music, you have entertainment, you have empowerment sessions for women, all different type of sessions, book signings, you name it. And so to have the honor of doing a book signing at the Essence Festival in New Orleans, that was just like the ultimate for me for that book.
I know that's right. And I'll tell you what, the listening audience is on her website, but I'll read the synopsis for you very quickly. It said, Ms. Gold Digger, Success is Sexy is a tell-all guide for today's businesswoman who wants to get what she wants for herself by herself, while the world may define success in dollars and cents. This book teaches women how to work smarter, not harder. In the book, you will learn 1. How to network to increase your net worth. 2. How to develop a millionaire mindset. 3, how to act, speak, and dress like a CEO. 4, how to set strategic goals and plans of actions, and more. While many may define sexy as miniskirts, makeup, and stilettos, this book teaches that true sexiness starts with a mogul mindset. So that's the description of the book. The title of it is Ms. G-O-A-L, not to be confused with G-O-L-D, Digger. All right. And then you co-authored Inspired Style.
Yes. And so I did that book with other image consultants, and I talk about looking good at any age. So whether you're 20, 30, 40, or 50, you can look good at no matter what age you are. And so it's nice to be able to co-author that book. And both books you can find on my website, AllisonVaughn.com. And my book is available on Amazon. They can go to Amazon to get my book, Miss Gold Digger, or they can go to my website, AllisonVaughn.com, and find out more information regarding both books and what I'm doing and what I'm up to, which I guess leads into the next thing regarding my TV show.
That is correct.
Allison Vaughn. It's a TV show, ministry for busy moms, and that also goes back into that same demographics, my audience, that these are moms that I wanted to give a word of inspiration. And I started that during the pandemic. You know, everyone was home, and we had time to self-reflect because there was nothing else to do. You know, the malls were closed. Everything was closed, so you couldn't do anything but just stay home. So it was just a good time for self-reflection and saying, you know, what's going on with the world? What's going to happen next? Are we going to come out of this pandemic? And I don't know about you, Mark, but I know people personally that have died from the COVID. So, you know, every other day I was hearing about deaths. And, you know, I was like, okay, so we're busy doing nothing, and then we're busy doing something, and sometimes we just need a word of inspiration. And so I started a TV show, and it's on the Daily Gospel Network, and it's also on the KBTV Global channel, and you can find it on, you know, Apple, Roku, Fire Stick. You know, it's on so many different platforms. And so it's basically a TV show for moms, and I give tips on helping life become easier for moms, and I just give a word of inspiration. And it's really, really nice because people call and say, you know what, those words of inspiration really helped me, or that tip you gave, you know, for moms was really helpful. So I'm reaching people and helping other moms because I'm a mom. And being a mother is just one of the greatest joys. And I know that I can touch people with that TV show. So I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, congratulations on the TV show, because, again, each time you come on, you've added another venture. And again, in terms of your question, yes, I've actually lost a couple family members to COVID. I lost a cousin, as well as my aunt's husband passed away. He had underlying conditions, however, but COVID was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And so
I'm so sorry for that. My condolences to you and your family.
Thank you. As well as my church, a few church brothers and sisters passed away. We got hit hard with it at my particular church. And so, yes, I do know folks. And interesting enough, it came to me, and I was going to post this on Twitter. I'm still going to post this on somewhere. For over 500,000 people have died from this thing. And for those of us who so far have survived, there's no room for us to be arrogant and cocky and think that we're all of that because we're surviving it. What we really need to have is a spirit of gratitude. We really need to be grateful because over 500,000 people, and the numbers are still going up, have lost their lives to this thing. So for those of us who are making it, it's not a matter of I was so tough or I was no, you here because God still has you here.
Yes. And I like how you say a spirit of gratitude, because I have a gratitude journal. And during this pandemic, I really did a lot of journaling. But I've been journaling for like 20-some years. But during the pandemic, I did a lot of journaling. It's just really therapeutic for me. So I'm thankful every day. And it's like the more you're thankful, it seems like the more God blesses you. And I know
Correct.
People have heard that, but if they have not heard it, hopefully they're hearing it now for the first time. The more you're grateful and you show gratitude, the more blessings that you will receive. If you're thankful for what you have, God will bless you with more. And so I'm thankful every day. So here we are talking today. We are grateful and thankful that God woke us up. And so, you know, we're using our talent because everyone has a talent. Everyone has something to share. And so God gave each of us something to share and to give back to the world. And so, like for you, Marc, it's, your ability to have a wonderful talk show and your ability to be able to be a great communicator. And so for me, it's just to be able to inspire and help other women. And so we have a gift. So when we wake up each morning, we have something that is a blessing to someone else. And so I say when a person prays, we might be the answer to that person's prayer. You just never know. And so God has blessed you to do what you do so well, to be an educator, Marc, and to inspire. And so we get up each morning knowing that we can bless someone else. And when we bless someone else, God continues to bless us.
Absolutely. I told you that's why I love Proverbs 11:25. That's why that is my favorite verse in terms of exactly what you just said, that as you are being, okay, let me put it back this way. We're not put here just to be blessed. We're put here to be a blessing to others. That's what I was saying. The fact that your Jackets for Jobs is so successful is because you're making a difference in the lives of other people. It's not just about you looking good. It's not just about your wardrobe and your attire. You're now trying to help other folks have a wardrobe and attire that will help them take care of themselves. And that old verse of, it's one thing to hand somebody a fish, and it's another thing to teach them how to fish. You're teaching how to fish. And as opposed to just giving them the fish and say, okay, you know what, that's a meal for you for a couple of days. I'm showing you how you can get you a meal for the rest of your life.
Exactly. And you do the same thing as an educator and as a communicator and talking and inspiring and uplifting other people. So, yes, God has blessed both of us.
Yes.
And so that's why it's just wonderful to be on your platform and to talk to people and for your listeners to hear what we're talking about, because that way they see what a blessing you are, So it's I just love God. That's why I say I am not afraid to say that I love God. I'm not afraid to let people know where my blessings come from.
I know that's right.
Some people are just, downplay that, but not me. God says, don't deny me and I won't deny you,
Correct.
And so I don't deny God at all. I am just truly blessed at and having that relationship with the Lord.
I know that's right. Again, another verse, I am not ashamed of the gospel, for sure. And I couldn't agree with you more. And we've come down to the point now wherein I'm going to shut the mic off for a few minutes and allow you to promote all of your endeavors. The only thing you cannot say is a price or a dollar amount, but anything in terms of access, websites, telephone numbers, book signings, where you're going to be, how folks can get in touch with you. If you want to shout out anybody, you have the opportunity to do that now. So you could talk a little bit how they can get hold of your books. Go back again of where the TV show is so that folks can tune into that. So I'm going to shut the mic off, and this is your opportunity to promote. Oh,
my goodness. Okay, great. I get so modest when trying to promote things because I know that God is my PR person. But speaking about PR people, I have to give a shout out to Pam Perry. Oh, my goodness. Pam Perry is wonderful. So, and I know that she's listening. So thank you, Pam, for all that you have done. But for me, I would just like to promote Jackets for Jobs. I want all of your listeners to go to Jackets for Jobs website as well as Jackets for Jobs Facebook. But it's Jackets for Jobs, and it's all spelled out. JACKETSFORJOBS, so jacketsforjobs.org. Please visit our website. We have some wonderful content on there. And then for myself, please visit my website, AllisonVaughn.com, and that's, my name is spelled out ALISONVAUGHN, AllisonVaughn.com. And you will find all the information about my speaking engagements, find out about my TV show, The Allison Vaughn Show for Busy Moms. I have some of my episodes on there, as well as my book information is on there. And you can also go to Amazon.com for my book. So I'm in the community. I'm on social media. But most importantly, visit both of the websites for more information on how to get in touch and stay in touch with me.
All right. Well, Allison, it has been an absolute blessing and pleasure to have an opportunity to talk with you. In terms of Jackets for Jobs, I think that is such a wonderful initiative, the purpose of it, the vision of it. As I just said a couple of minutes ago, in terms of there's a difference between handing somebody a fish and teaching them how to do it. And so that's what you all are doing. You are empowering folks to take up thy bed and walk. You're empowering folks to get out there and be able to help themselves. And that's, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, because be honest with you, and I share this with folks, that's what we were put here for. And if more people would realize that we're here to give more so than to get per se, I think the better off the world would be. So I thank you for rising early to join me this morning. If we will check you out on your different sites in terms of getting access. I think I already follow Jackets for Jobs on Facebook, but if I don't, I will by today.
Oh, good. Well, I just have to tell you, this has been such a pleasure to be on your show. To be on your show is just wonderful. You have a lot of listeners. You have a great following. It's just a great conversation to have with you. So anyone that's on your show, Marc, they should be smiling, because you always have great conversation. It's just been such a pleasure just to talk about what I do and just to hear a little bit more about what you do. So thank you again for having me as your guest.
Well, thank you, and God bless. I do record the shows. I'm going to have it archived on my YouTube channel. Folks who didn't rise early with us will have the opportunity to hear it at their convenience, as well as I will send you an MP3 link and the YouTube link as far as that matter. And then once you receive those, they are yours. Feel free to share however you choose.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderfully blessed day, as my mom can say. She'll be 83, God willing, in October. Keep on keeping on.
That's right. Keep on keeping on. I like that.
All right. So have a wonderfully blessed way, and Easter and Good Friday and everything that, we're coming upon that week as well. So be blessed, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.